Asian's Garage is now celebrating 100 years of service to the North Attleborough area. Asian's provides 24-hour friendly towing and roadside assistance to get you back on the move. From lockouts to blowouts to dead batteries, they're your local AAA representative. Take care of your Massachusetts state inspections without taking up a chunk of your day. Asian's Garage, proudly celebrating 100 years of service to the North Attleborough area.
North Attleborough House of Pizza is proud to support quality local programming on North TV. Quality is more than a word to the Awad family. For over 25 years, they have been using only the best and freshest ingredients. North Attleborough House of Pizza also offers catering and cupcake bouquets. Let the North Attleborough House of Pizza family prepare your family's next meal. Open 7 days a week.
Nearly 150 years ago, William H. Riley and his son Elmer started providing coal, straw, and other heating supplies to the people of North Attleborough. W.H. Riley and Son is still owned by the same family, but now delivers oil and propane as well as services to your heating system and air conditioner. Today, like then, you can rely on W.H. Riley for all your heating and cooling needs.
Welcome to another extended COVID-19 edition of North Attleborough This Week as we recap town news for the week of April 10th through April 17th. I'm Peter Gay. Let's begin with a delay. The town council voted 7-0 Monday night to hold the town's general election now on Tuesday, June 30th, the final day of the fiscal year. The date had been scheduled for Tuesday, April 7th, but was postponed in part when Governor Charlie Baker declared a stay-at-home order throughout the Commonwealth. Election officials will be working on ways to minimize groups of people forming into small areas, including encouraging people to vote by mail in advance. Once again, the town election will now be held on Tuesday, June 30th. North TV will announce our plans for debates and other election specials in the coming weeks. Plainville's Board of Health and Town Administrator Jennifer Thompson on Wednesday issued an emergency order requiring employees of essential businesses to wear a mask when interacting with customers or when they are near other workers. In Attleborough, Mayor Paul Heroux has urged but not required city employees to wear a mask when working indoors or around other people. I spoke to North Attleborough Health Director and Public Health Nurse Anne Marie Fleming on Thursday about those directives and if similar measures could be implemented here.
So there's been discussion about potentially doing this. Right now. The employees are wearing masks if they're interacting because that's complying really with the recommendations that have been there all along, that if you are within 6 feet of anybody, you really should wear a mask. So as far as town hall goes, we are definitely wearing the masks for that. I think one of the biggest benefits, if that's something that is put out there, it's probably more for those people who are going to Walmart, to going shopping, to wear a mask, to encourage that, because there are people who are not. And it perhaps would give stores a little more ability to say deny service to someone if they're not complying with what is ordered. It might be something that we may see Governor Baker looking at as we're going forward as well.
Yeah, on Tuesday, I was buying supplies for North TV. I went to BJ's, Walmart, and Stop and Shop, and I got toilet paper for the crew. So we're very
good.
happy. Oh, I got one of the big 32 packs too. So we're in pretty good shape. But I was surprised some of the people behind the counter that I was dealing with or stocking shelves walking by, store employees, Walmart, not wearing masks. And I was wearing a mask for the first time because I could be spreading it to others. And it's almost to the point where I was a little bit mad at the other customers and the store employees who weren't wearing masks.
Right. Because you were looking out for other people as well. And that's really what this is all about. Protect. You know, you get also certain populations, younger populations that really don't feel that they're vulnerable. And that's where I think we see the largest numbers of people who aren't taking those protections. A lot of the seniors, you're seeing most seniors, if they are going out, are absolutely wearing masks because they're concerned that they might have the more severe consequences. So they're taking protection for themselves.
That would be me. I'm in that 60+ category.
Same here.
Last week when we were together, it was late in the day on Thursday, as it is this week, and the number of reported cases in North Attleborough had almost doubled from the prior week. How do the numbers compare this week?
Well, they are up there. We are looking at right now probably 83, 84. So this week I just did a quick review of the last few days, and they're increasing anywhere from 6 to 10 cases a day. And not unexpected. You know, we are thinking that these next few weeks are going to be the peak weeks. And then after that, we're hoping to see that the numbers go down. They could be a lot worse. You know, for the community of this size to just be at 80, I think shows that, you know, people are taking precautions. They are taking it seriously. They're not going out in large groups. But again, the numbers that we see across the state, those who are under 19, the numbers are very low, but I think that's an artificial low because that's the group that aren't affected as well. They have mild symptoms, so they're not going to get tested. So I think that's why you see those numbers are lower, is they're not being tested.
Realistically, and I don't want to put you on the spot. If you're not comfortable answering this, please say so. But realistically, how long is it going to take for us, at least in this little section of the world, to get back to what used to be?
Normal, right? We've been talking about that. I mean, there was a discussion this morning that even talked about, you know, we're hearing estimates 2 to 3 years with multiple waves. You know, I'm hoping for the fall. I'm a very optimistic kind of person. If we look at the pattern that we're seeing in, say, Spain and France, to me, that's a little more realistic than China because I'm not sure numbers and reports are quite accurate. You know, I think we'll start to see things go down. Now, I do expect waves, and the reason for that, as we do release and we do start to go back to normal, people will not be as careful. And so you will see exposures and the numbers will go up again. But my hope is that we will have a vaccine by the fall. That's what my hope is. You know, we know that they're testing now, they're doing human trials now. And I think, you know, maybe by the fall, maybe they might have a viable vaccine and then there'll be production and we'll get that out. So.
Because I'm sure you've heard the projections, even if there was a vaccine, 12 to 18 months. But I view that as, okay, under normal circumstances, 12 to 18 months. I like your projection of the fall because let's face it, if they come up with a vaccine, there are going to be multiple companies coming up with these doses as quickly as possible.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. You know, there's support on the federal level. You know, they're supporting research now. There's been different companies. The thing is coming up with the best vaccine that can be produced the fastest, that can get out there as soon as possible. You know, I really liked, there was one that talked.
Excuse me.
I loved that idea, you know, to think the patch versus a shot. So those difficult populations, young kids or, you know, people who are needle phobic, I would love something like that. Whether that's realistic or not, you know, we'll see, because that probably would be harder to produce. So
In the next week until we get together, Someone's leaving there, I can tell. But in the next week, what are some of the things we should be looking for? Last question.
Just people just to be, careful. Just continue to do what we're doing. Take care of themselves. Our biggest concern is that people are looking for, say, alcohol or other ways to medicate themselves when they should be looking at, is there a new hobby, something that they can do? And they need to wash their hands. They need to keep the social distancing and wearing masks.
If you have any coronavirus-related questions, call the North Nurses Care Coronavirus Info Line at 508-699-2404. That's 508-699-2404. North Attleborough's Congressman Joseph Kennedy is like most Americans. He's working remotely from his home. Kennedy told my colleague Keith Tebow from the Fall River Community Media that he realizes that the $2 trillion stimulus package is not perfect, but will help Americans across the country.
Couple of things here. So one, a healthy dose of humility that you recognize that you're not going to get everything right or perfect the first time because of that urgency, right? Where normally big pieces of legislation takes years, if not multiple series of Congress to try to actually get done. We passed the biggest rescue package in the history of the United States, 3 times bigger than the rescue package from the financial collapse in 2008, 2009. We passed it in about 10 days. So really no precedent for what Congress just did. The challenge then is that with that speed, because of the recognition of the urgency of that moment, there's going to be challenges that come up with it. And we're hearing about that. Which is also why there was a commitment, I think, early on in this to recognize that we're going to have to do more. And you might have to adjust some of those policies in the way that the intention behind that bill and the way in which some of those policies were designed. There is, though, I think there should have been a recognition earlier from our colleagues in the Senate to know that even with the best of intentions and what we did with unemployment assistance, which was a dramatic increase in the weekly allotment of that you could receive from unemployment assistance, extension of unemployment benefits on the back end, and a redefinition of who can actually apply for unemployment assistance. On this extraordinary package for small businesses, $350 billion, and we're already talking about adding up with a couple $100 billion more, that those programs were going to take some time to actually be able to get designed, implemented, understood, and deployed. And in that time, that lag, whether that's at best case a couple of weeks, worst case longer, that people still needed assistance immediately. And that's one of the reasons why I came out early and I think aggressively for a program for direct cash payments, right? To recognize that if the goal on this is to make sure that people can still meet their financial obligations, pay their rent, pay their mortgage, their credit card bill, their car payment, people need help now. And one of the ways we can make sure that people get help now is to do things like a direct cash payment that makes it more basically universal, my plan. $4,000 for anybody making underneath $100,000 and $2,000 if you make over $100,000. But you make that universal so that you can get the money out quickly. If you file the tax return, we know your taxes, we know your address, sometimes we'll know your bank account. We can actually do a direct deposit right back to you far more quickly than we can vet the economics behind a small business and a small business loan.
In addition to being our congressman, Kennedy is also a candidate for the U.S. Senate seat currently held by Massachusetts Junior Senator Ed Markey. The two are seeking the Democratic nomination. That primary is scheduled for Tuesday, September 1st. State Senator Becca Rausch has introduced legislation to implement comprehensive voting by mail for all Massachusetts statewide elections this year. The September 1st state primary and the state general election and presidential election on November 3rd. I spoke to Senator Rausch on Thursday about the bill she filed with Representative Adrian Madaro, a Democrat from Boston.
This is a really important bill. It's the 2020 Vote by Mail Act. I'm really proud of this work because free, open, and accessible elections are a bedrock and a pillar of our democracy. And we need people to be able to vote. And we also need people to be able to stay safe. And I think as we continue to see this pandemic develop, and we see it even today, just in the news, a sign from Governor Baker that the stay-at-home advisories and closures and essential services orders will be extended. we need to make sure that our elections can go forward. It's really important to our democracy as we know it. So the bill would implement a comprehensive vote by mail system for both the primary in September and the general in November. Every registered voter would get a mail-in ballot sent to the address on file with the Central Registry of Voters for the general election, and every registered voter who is affiliated with a party would get their party's primary ballot. All of that would happen automatically. For all of our independent voters, which is the difference between our state and many other states. Many other states, if you want to vote in a party primary, you have to be enrolled in that party. But in our state, we give unenrolled voters the opportunity to vote in any primary they want, which is great. So in order to know what those voters would like to do, which ballot they'd like to receive, they submit a request. They can do that online or by mail for a particular party's primary ballot and get those as well. The ballots will come to you via the mail. And you fill it out. You can fill it out at home. You can send it back. You sign an affidavit on the back of the envelope. The returned envelope will be postage prepaid, and you mail it back. And that's the grand scheme of the bill. It would apply only to 2020 elections.
November 3rd is also the presidential election. I know President Trump has talked about fraud if we went mail-in ballots. How would you answer that if questioned by the president?
Well, I doubt the president is going to call me and ask about this, but if
he might be watching.
You never know. Anything's possible. If he were, I would say we actually have a vote by mail system that already works in Massachusetts, right? We have plenty of people vote by absentee ballot, and that has worked for quite a while, and so I'm not particularly concerned.
What else is happening up on Beacon Hill or from your house communicating with Beacon Hill?
Right, my remote office and all the remote offices of all of my staff, also known as our apartments and houses. Well, the evictions and mortgage foreclosure moratorium bill has been passed by both chambers and laid before the governor for his signature. The MCAS have all been canceled and waived for the year, so that's huge. Both of those things are huge, excuse me, for both bills in and of themselves. We had 2 virtual hearings this week, one held by the Joint Committee on Children and Families and Persons with Disabilities. That hearing was specifically regarding deep poverty, people in deep poverty, and shoring up their financial resources in a period where they're being hit harder than ever. And then today, actually, we had, the day that we're recording, we had another one with the Joint Committee on Elder Affairs. I serve as the vice chair of that committee, specifically with regard to a bill pertaining to caring for our seniors, especially in senior living facilities. This is, as we're seeing the rates come out daily, these are hotspots. It's not surprising. We have a lot of people in relatively close quarters, so we really need to make sure that both the residents of those facilities and the staff that are taking care of those folks are safe and protected. So it's exciting to see us adapt. And then, of course, there's the bill that I believe did advance out of the Senate today with regard to signatures for getting on the ballot.
I hate to keep asking you this question every week when we get together like this, but municipalities throughout the Commonwealth are worried about this. I read in one of the newspapers, I read multiple newspapers, that the sales tax revenue is down, I want to say by a couple billion. I might be wrong on that. What impact is that going to have when cities and towns are looking for their money from the state?
Yeah. The other thing that did happen this week, which I neglected to mention, so I appreciate this question, is the Economic Summit and roundtable that was hosted by both the House and Senate chairs of their respective Ways and Means committees, as well as the Secretary of Administration and Finance, the treasurer, and fiscal experts from across, various different folks throughout the Commonwealth, but experts in the Commonwealth all testified. It's available online if anyone wants to pull it up and watch it on the state legislature's website. And the answer is, we're people still don't know. The experts in the field don't quite know exactly what things are going to look like. I think the predictions are, less than $1 million of a shortfall in the current fiscal year, or no, sorry, I would have to check for the exact figures, but you know, we're looking at significant shortfalls, and that's something that I think the folks, my colleagues up on the Hill are definitely trying to figure out. Sorry, just called up while we're talking the figures. I think they anticipated between a $500 and $700 million shortfall for this fiscal year, and we're talking in the billions for next fiscal year. It's a hit. It's a hard hit. You know, we've now got some estimates to work with, so you know, we'll have to see what comes out of that. Hopefully, we will figure this out, right? We will figure this out. I am confident that we will figure this out.
Fingers crossed.
All various appendages crossed that this will get figured out. But we do have to figure it out, and you know, there will be cuts and maybe some new forms of revenue. You know, traditional forms of revenue obviously are not working right now, right? People aren't going to hotels and restaurants and stores the way we used to. And frankly, even once we get to the other side of this pandemic, you know, on the backside of the bell curve, and people sort of talk about this as a V, right? We're in the downswing now, and eventually we'll hit bottom, and then it will, you know, come back up, or maybe a U if it's a slower recovery, or a W, right? If we have another resurgence of the virus, whenever things start coming back upward, and they will. We don't know what that's going to look like, right? I think it's unrealistic to think that normal as we thought of it before will be normal again. So we have a lot of work to do, for sure, to figure out how to jumpstart the economy.
What else would you like to leave viewers with this week?
I'm really happy the sun is finally shining. I hope everybody's okay after that tremendous, you know, wind and rainstorm that we had on Monday. We've had a couple of holidays now for people in a couple of different religions. So I hope everyone had a happy and healthy one. Please keep calling and emailing, especially we're seeing sort of disparate things happen on the ground that may or may not align with what we anticipate happening with regard to, for example, stimulus payments and small business loans and other things. So please keep telling me and my team. People have been doing this in all sorts of ways: Facebook, Twitter, email, phone calls. You know, let us know so that we can keep digging in for everybody and get to the bottom of any issues that we see arise. You can reach us at Becca Rausch MA on Facebook and Twitter. The website is also beccarauschma.com. You can email me at becca.rausch@masenate.gov, and the phone number, as with all weeks, still 617-722-1555. I'll add also that, you know, we're looking, I'm on a subgroup in the Senate that's looking specifically at our first responders and public safety folks, and making sure that we're doing everything we can to support the people on the front lines who are showing up when 911 calls come in, showing up when you got a fire, showing up when you got an issue. You know, we have to do everything we can to protect everybody.
That bill, if passed, would not impact municipal elections. State Representative Betty Poirier announced last week on this program that residents who did not choose direct deposit for refunds or payments on their 2019 or 2018 tax returns can receive their stimulus payments sooner by visiting the IRS website. Representative Poirier visited North TV on Friday and urged residents to only visit the irs.gov website and not respond to any emails asking recipients to enter information.
This is a new platform that is being built, and there are scammers out there that are trying to get you to go to their website. And I urge you to not pay any attention to those sites and go directly and only directly to irs.gov. That's where you apply.
It's very important to note that the IRS will never email someone asking for information.
That's true. You have to be aggressive and go after it. And believe me, you should.
Betty, I know you have a lot of information to share. I know you have some notes, so go to it.
Peter, I wrote down some notes so I wouldn't forget some of the important information. First of all, I want to address the elder population and how seriously they have been affected by this virus. The homes that we're talking about are in three categories. They're assisted living, they're nursing homes, and they are rest homes. And the total population, approximately in our state as a whole, is 6,900,000 people. That's our population. The elder population, many of whom are in these homes, is 1 million. And we have, at this point, as of maybe yesterday, 9,000 elders who are quarantined, who have been affected. And that's why many of these homes are closed to visitors. Even if you're a relative, it's very difficult sometimes to be able to visit. So the overall commitment that we've made to funding nursing homes and these other facilities is $100 million, $130 million overall from our Commonwealth. So we're well aware of the situation. The nursing home family resource phone line, which is staffed from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., 7 days a week. So you are able to call and check on your loved one if you would like. And the phone number is 617-660-5399. And let me repeat that. 617-660-5399. You can call any day of the week from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And so far, that line has handled 1,000 calls since the 14th of April. So it's a wonderful resource for you to check on your loved one. One of the things that we have done here in the state is put a moratorium on all evictions for non-payment of rent. So no one should concern themselves with the immediate threat of being tossed out of their home. And if they have been threatened with that, you should seek some help because they're not allowed to do it. There are 600,000 claims so far to unemployment here in Massachusetts, which is an enormous amount. And I get calls on a regular basis from people who are having trouble breaking through. You will break through eventually. It takes time. Even though the workforce has been increased 100-fold, it's very difficult. Some of the situations are complicated, and so don't give up on it because they will get to everyone. To get to finance for our Commonwealth, the 2021 previous tax revenue projection that we were projected to take in prior to the COVID-19 was $31.15 billion. Now, the new projection is $24.8 billion. And just to put that into perspective, this is $1 billion less than we had in 2018. So you can see very readily that we're going to have great difficulty with the overall state budget this year. The rainy day fund is also less than we projected. So it's going to be a difficult year. We have had more than 30,000 people in our Commonwealth confirmed dead. And it's a tremendous number. So there are a great many of you suffering out there, and you have our sympathy. We have tested over 140,000 people as of 2 days ago. As for equipment, we have 3.8 million pieces of PPE, which is gloves, gowns. We have 850,000 masks and 380,000 ventilators. That's a tremendous amount of equipment, and as you know, every state has been scurrying, trying to get what they need for their state. So we have done fairly well. We have over 570,000 Massachusetts residents who are unemployed, who have applied since March 15th. That's about 100,000, they were 100,000 last week alone. So be patient with it, and hopefully you won't have problems. We want you all to get what you're due, what you're owed, and to stay safe and ride this out until we can see the light of day. I wanted to also let you know that if you're watching this broadcast today, the governor is on at 2:30, and you will gain more information if you're able to watch his broadcast every day that he's on. So stay well, stay safe, talk to your loved ones and your friends by phone or text, and keep a smile on your face. We're all going to get through this together.
The official and only website to submit your personal information is irs.gov. Our local food kitchens are in trouble. I'll have the details when North Attleborough This Week returns.
There you go. There you go. Good job.
Oh, that's okay, Connor.
Hey, we're on time this morning. Nice job.
Every smile.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, that's all right.
Every hug.
It was nice of you to apologize. I know how hard that can be.
Every word of praise.
That was some really awesome teamwork out there today. I'm so proud of you.
Lives in a child's heart forever.
Great job. You're the best little brother ever.
Here we go. All right, home run.
Praise is the key to positive parenting and raising confident, caring
Here we
kids.
go.
It's just one of the many parenting tools from the experts at Boys Town. Visit boystown.org/praise to receive your 10 Ways to Praise magnet. It's a great reminder to keep it positive, and that helpful parenting advice is just a click away.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there, helping veterans of every generation get the benefits they've earned, so they can reach victories great and small. Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Chiru has no choice. She and millions like her walk miles a day for dirty water. But together, we can end their walk by providing clean water close by. Instead of spending hours walking to get water that makes them sick, girls can be in a classroom and moms will gain back time to care for their families. Sons and daughters can grow up strong, finally free of sicknesses. It's true. When you just add water, you change a life. Learn more at worldvision.org.
Welcome back to North Attleborough This Week. The economic impact of the coronavirus pandemic has hit those in need harder than most. Thousands of cars were lined up outside of a food pantry last week in Texas, and while that isn't the case here, there is still a need. Ellen Sullivan is part of Hunger for Hope, a group organizing a virtual fundraiser for Attleborough area food kitchens, including one here in North Attleborough. She joined me for an interview Thursday morning to detail the need and how you can help.
The fundraiser is called Hunger to Hope, and it's a fundraiser for the Food and Friends kitchens in the greater Attleborough area. Our virtual fundraiser began 1 week ago today, and we had it run for 2 weeks this year online. We had to cancel our live event because of COVID-19, and our event was planned for May 20th. So like all nonprofits trying to do spring fundraisers, we had to shift gears and do a virtual event this year.
We've all seen the video on the news of cars, thousands of cars lined up to receive food. Has the impact been as severe here in the greater Attleborough area?
Yes, definitely. I was hearing from the Food and Friends coordinator, Pam Turallo, that we've seen about a 50% increase in meals served at our daily kitchens. Food and Friends has 6 daily kitchens each week. 3 of them are in Attleborough. One every Wednesday is in North Attleborough at the First Baptist Church. And we have a kitchen in Seekonk and a kitchen in Mansfield. And they've been seeing, since the COVID-19 crisis, a 50% increase in meals served. They've also moved to an outdoor meals to go format to go along with the social distancing obligations. So yes, we're definitely seeing more numbers, greater need in our community.
Now, this is certainly in collaboration with the Attleborough Area Interfaith Collaborative. Let me ask you this. It's in Attleborough 3 nights a week. It's in North Attleborough only 1 night a week. Is someone from North Attleborough prevented from going to one of the nights when it's held in Attleborough?
No, not at all. And many times in the Attleboroughs, you will see the same individuals, the same guests will attend the different kitchens. Aside from obviously being served a nourishing meal, the guests have found a real community in the kitchens, and it's a family of sorts, and they know the longtime volunteers, they know each other, and it's a social, warm atmosphere for them. So the Gatra bus will bring guests to the different kitchens. On Wednesdays, the kitchen is at 4 p.m. at First Baptist. And so people really can attend the different kitchens.
When people visit the kitchens, are they typically, the first thought is, okay, this is for homeless people only. What if someone is low income, they rent an apartment, they're not homeless, are they still welcome to come to these kitchens?
Absolutely. Anyone is welcome to attend the kitchen. There is no check-in process or registration or anything like that. People just walk in and have a seat and can go up and be served a nutritious meal. There are warm volunteers who greet our guests and hang out and talk. And so anyone absolutely is welcome to attend.
And let's get to the meat and potatoes. How can someone financially help?
Well, great question. Thank you. So one way is that right now, the Attleborough Area Interfaith Collaborative, which is the umbrella organization of which Food and Friends is a part, the Interfaith Collaborative is hosting a virtual fundraiser. It's called Hunger to Hope. I'll show you a little image of our Hunger to Hope of our event. It's a virtual event that can be found at our website, attleboroughaic.org. And it's running for 2 weeks. We're in the middle of it. It ends next Thursday, the 23rd of April. And people could go to our website, attleboroughaic.org, and can learn about Hunger to Hope, how we're raising money for the Food and Friends Daily Kitchens and the Kids Summer Cafes, and can help to alleviate hunger in our very own community.
Do you know if people can donate online?
Yes. When you go to our website, there will be information about our event and about the good work of Food and Friends. And they will see different ways to participate in our fundraiser, everything from, say, buying a virtual ticket to our event, to buying a grand raffle ticket. We are having a grand raffle this year. Mansfield Bank, for the 3rd year in a row, has sponsored our grand raffle. And this year, it's a $750 cash prize. We'll be pulling the winner of the grand raffle next Thursday on our final day. So that's another option and a way for people to participate. We also have sponsorship options and other ways to donate to Food and Friends.
That website again is attleboroughaic.org. When life starts to return to normal, North Attleborough's Little Leaguers will have a new field to play on. A new diamond was built over the last few weeks in the corner of Mason Field, closest to Elm Street, heading to Mount Hope Street. We visited the new field on Thursday and spoke with Park and Recreation Director Stephen Carvalho.
We're very fortunate to have our North Attleborough Little League that was kind enough, and certainly they needed it. Just to give a little background, the Mount Hope Cemetery, after 30 years, unfortunately they needed the property back. We're very gracious and grateful for them for all those years of doing it. But unfortunately they have a job to do and they needed the fields. But luckily, after many trials of different locations in town, we built the field here, and almost entirely with Little League funding. All the fundraising that they do during the course of their years.
I was driving by while it was being built, and this was done by a professional company that's what they do.
Correct. The company that they hired is a company that does a lot of work in the community, and locally they worked at Gillette for many years when it was a grass field. Sports Turf Specialties, a very honorable, reputable company. They've done a lot of work in the town, but Little League, again, cannot thank them enough, because it's because of them that this is being built.
Not only did you have to build a field, but I see new light poles. I mean, electricity-wise, I'm sure things had to be done.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up. We replaced a couple of the light towers that were here with the help of North Attleborough Electric. I can't thank them enough as a department. They've done so much. This wasn't as simple as cutting a diamond in. We had to move the telephone, we had to move the fiber, we had to install all new poles. We had to go to conservation and get permission to put new poles along that roadway. So it wasn't as simple as just cutting a diamond in an already open grass area. There was a lot of moving parts, and again, thanking Little League, but certainly thanking a lot of the local departments, conservation, and certainly North Attleborough Electric for going above and beyond to do that with helping. And we are planning on, if you can see the two poles there, we're planning on putting 10 lights on each pole that will be able to allow even better night lighting and night games for our children.
Because in the past, the two fields that are behind us, the true Little League fields, never had lights.
Correct. It'll be really fun for this age group that's never been able to play under the lights. And the great thing about this particular field is we've designed this in a way where not only will we be able to play Little League, we'll also be able to play adult softball. We'll also be able to play youth softball as well. So it's a 60-foot diamond, but it's definitely being geared towards 3 groups.
I am looking, and if 2 games were going on at the same time, the center fielders could be exchanging bubble gum.
Yeah, that will not be the case. What will happen is if there's a big game on, a 70 or 90-foot diamond, obviously the other field won't be used. There is a goal in the near future, I would say next year, but more realistically, based on what we're dealing with in this unfortunate time, it'll probably be 2 or 3 years away where this will be converted, this bigger field will be converted into a 60-70 diamond.
And where are the big kids going to go?
So the big kids, luckily, the high school revamped their field after their construction project that they had over the last couple of years. And a lot of the games will be able to get shifted over to community field as well.
Yeah, I know the Gary DiNardo Fund was huge in creating that new field at the high school. Doesn't feel like summer today, where we're on Thursday, yeah. August 16th. Excuse me, I wish it were April 16th doing this interview. But summer is around the corner. Yeah. Knock on wood, things get back to normal. You're already lining up summer programs,
we are,
right? Summer camps?
We are. There are a lot of them are already online. We've actually, because of the situation that we're in, we've reduced a lot of the deposit fees to make it a little bit easier on these families because there's a lot of things going on right now. And but we really understand that when this does break, and it will break, we have to all be optimistic that we will get back to some form of normalcy. We're going to be ready. We're going to be ready for these kids and these programs to start up. Our pool will be open, our summer camps will be open, our sports camps, our zoo camp, our playgrounds. There's a lot of great things coming. It's unfortunate that we're dealing with this right now, but I'm trying to look at this as a blessing, and I can only speak as myself. This is a tragic situation that's going on, but I'm very fortunate that it's putting me in a position to be with my family and be with my kids. And that is a good thing. So try to look at the good times of this, but the good times will only get better, is the way I'm looking at it.
And how do people register?
They can register online. They can certainly call the office. They can email us, whatever's easier for them. narecreation.com is obviously is the greatest resource, but don't hesitate to call us. We can walk you through, talk you through anything that you may have any reservations or concerns about.
Thank you, Steve. Exciting times in difficult times.
It is.
No doubt about it.
It is. And thank you for what you folks do, and everybody just be safe.
Let's say a prayer that they'll be able to play some games at Mason Field sometime this spring. The website to register for summer programs is northattleboroughma.myrec.com. That's North Attleborough with the ma.myrec.com. Only one candidate has pulled papers for the Republican nomination in the race for state representative. Former chairman of the Board of Selectmen and now town councilor Michael Lennox is hoping to serve his hometown of North Attleborough, a precinct in Attleborough, and a slice of Mansfield. Lennox joined me on this set last week, and I asked him if running for the position was something he's had on his radar for a long time.
I don't know about a long time. I think it's just maybe something that's been a natural progression. I've spent obviously 30, 35 years in the workforce with a lot of good experience and positive results there, but I was able to carry quite a bit over that into serving in town government, starting really early on in RTM, attending Board of Selectmen meetings for over 2 years before I decided to run, which I think really helped prepare me for that position and just in service to the public, really. So we really had some good, positive years in the Board of Selectmen, and now carrying that over to the town council. So to me, it's kind of maybe a natural progression to step up and take that next step and see if there's something that I can do to serve maybe even the larger district and it's now expanded beyond just the town of North Attleborough, which obviously, that's where my heart is, but there'll be potential for a portion of a ward in Attleborough and precinct in Mansfield, and to serve the greater area really is kind of a logical step for me.
You and I had talked when there was the potential for a change in government.
Sure.
And I asked you, off the record, would you be running for a council seat? And at the time, you said, I'm not sure, and you were being perfectly honest with me. You knew how much time being the chairman of the Board of Selectmen had been, and it would be a family decision.
Yep.
Now, if you were a state representative, that would be your full-time job. There's
Absolutely.
no question about that.
Sure.
So you wouldn't be working full-time and then being a member of the Board of Selectmen at night, or in this case, a town councilor at night. But you're in Boston every day.
Yep.
Betty was everywhere. If you're going to truly fill Betty's high heels,
Absolutely.
then you're going to have to put in probably more time than you did when you were a member of the Board of Selectmen. Yep. That's okay with the family?
So, again, that was another family discussion. Betty made her announcement, and that was a discussion that happened, at our house and with family members and friends and people in the community as well that I've always trusted their input. So, that it was definitely a family decision. To fill, Betty's shoes is probably a task that is probably impossible, but maybe I can follow in those footsteps. I think is probably better said. But I totally understand that it's more of a full-time commitment. The commitment that I've already made on the Board of Selectmen for sure, and particularly being chair 3 consecutive times, filled every single spare second and moment that I had outside of my employment.
Former Selectman Patrick Reynolds and former school committee member, now town councilor, Adam Scanlon are running on the Democratic side of the ballot. That special edition of Inside Government with Michael Lennox can be seen in its entirety on our community and government channels. You can also stream my interview by becoming a North TV Insider by visiting the new northtv.net and clicking the words North TV Insider at the top of the screen. Local churches have certainly been impacted since Governor Charlie Baker ordered a stay-at-home advisory. Over the past month, we've checked in with North Attleborough pastors to see how the coronavirus pandemic has impacted their churches. We started with the Transfiguration of the Lord Parish, then the First Congregational Church, or Old Town Church as most residents know it, and last week, the First Baptist Church. This week, we check in with the pastor of the Central Congregational Church, the Reverend Carol Baker.
Normally, I would call you pastor or reverend, but you said call me Carol. Let me begin by asking, how are you and your family doing during this pandemic?
Well, my family is reduced to me and my dog, so I can speak well for each of us. In fact, she's in the room with me, and if something moves on Mount Hope Street, you might hear some objections from her. I'll try to control her under that. I have some extended family, you know, through friends and so forth, and they're being very helpful. They're trying to make me live in a cocoon, and they're doing my grocery shopping for me and so forth. So that's very nice. And they're doing well.
How has this impacted you as a pastor? Without getting into details about the church, how different is your life?
Well, it's vastly different, obviously, because in a church setting, obviously, we are used to gathering together in a bodily way and being together and shake hands and hug and do all of those things that human beings seem to like to do. And that's not happening anymore, clearly. I started out my sermon for Easter saying that when I was ordained 44 years ago, it never occurred to me that I would not be in a church setting on Easter Sunday morning. And there I was sitting at my computer like everybody else and trying to conduct a service over Zoom, as it were. Yeah, very different. There's a second level as well, in that there's no way that I can get into a nursing home to see someone who is there. There's no way really at this point to get into the local hospital and be with someone who is probably quite ill.
Father Jack Schrader, I don't know if you know him.
Oh, I do know him. He's wonderful.
During his homily on Easter Sunday, he said, this is the lentiest of Lents I have ever experienced. And
Indeed.
He was absolutely correct.
A woman in my church put out a sign in front of our Christian education building that said, "I wasn't intending to give up this much for Lent."
It's absolutely true. It's amazing how much we take for granted. Not being able to visit people in the hospital, people in a nursing home, God forbid, people on their deathbed. In God's eyes, I know Catholics have last rites and all of that, and I don't know about your faith, but God certainly understands that you can't be there.
Oh, I have no question about that. I mean, God has given us this technology, for example. I mean, because of the gifts of people that they have received from God. So, God doesn't, I think, want us to throw ourselves out there to get this virus or whatever. I think we're doing what we can and trying to keep all of our parishioners safe at the same time.
The impact on your church, you're not able to see the people in your congregation on a weekly basis. What impact has it had? And I hate to bring this down to dollars and cents, but if people aren't coming to church, chances are you're not getting the type of contributions you normally do, but the expenses roll on.
That's absolutely true. Of course, our expenses have been pared down somewhat in terms of utilities and so forth, but we also have lost income from a daycare center that is in our church, and we can't very well ask them to continue to pay rent when they can't be in the building. We were on the verge of doing our corned beef dinner, which is a bit of a fundraiser for us, and a rummage sale, and we had to cancel those things because we felt it wouldn't have been safe and it would not have been the right thing to do. But people have been stepping up. They've been mailing their checks to us instead of dropping them in the offering plate, and we're very grateful for the fact that so many of these people are so committed to their church. And we'll just go with the flow and see what happens.
How important is it to you personally and for people of faith to be able to have that faith during a time like this?
Well, I think it's probably even more important, which is why we work very hard to, through the auspices of technology, to get out there. And on Easter Sunday, I think we had almost 100 people in that meeting.
That's fantastic.
We had 70 devices, and there were many families that were watching in and listening and so forth. So I think people, as always, do indeed turn to their faith at a time like this. I don't know what people do without their faith.
What's easier, preaching to a church full of worshipers or looking into a camera?
Oh, definitely worshipers. You can at least read the crowd and see if they're turning against you or not. But no, it's a give and take. Here we go.
Technology.
Technology.
It happens.
Yep, probably a spammer.
No, true.
Right. Where were we?
Preaching.
Oh, yes. Preaching to people. You need that, give and take. To see their faces to say, yeah, I agree with that. You don't really get that when you're looking into a camera.
In addition to being a local pastor, you're also quite active on the Commission on Disability.
Correct.
People with issues, the people you deal with on that commission, is this hitting them harder in the fact that they're limited to where they can go, and it's not as easy for them to run out to the supermarket if they have to at the last second, if they need toilet paper or need something else?
Right. No, it's true. People with disabilities, I'm sure, are getting hit very hard. Some of whom may not be able to afford or cannot use multimedia, something like this technology. Many can. Many don't allow their disabilities to stop them for that at all, but a lot simply cannot avail themselves of that kind of existing technology, unfortunately.
Well, you certainly have the right attitude. You do so much to help people in the town of North Attleborough, and I might add surrounding communities. Thank you so much for taking time to share your thoughts with us, and we hope you the best.
Well, thank you. We pray for North Attleborough, and we pray for our local leaders a lot to give them the wisdom to see us through this. And that's all we can do is draw together and be stronger.
We'll check in next week at this time with another local pastor. That wraps up this extended edition of North Attleborough This Week. On behalf of Chris Miller, Megan Miller, Jared Ware, Tim Scanlon, Kevin Daggett, and all of us here at North TV, I'm Peter Gay. Have a safe week. Powers Energy Corporation is proud to support quality local programming on North TV. Powers Energy has been serving North Attleborough, Plainville, and the surrounding area for over 25 years. Their top priority is your family's comfort during the cold New England winters by fielding a service team always ready to respond to any emergency. Professional, service-oriented, established, family-owned. Powers Energy.